lot of people are having this problem. This is open letter to Trudeau, Singh and the Bloc. This is about Canadian prices and about all the stuff basically going on across the world right now. It's not even just Canada. This is a lot of different places that are like this.
Sadly,
There's
we
two
live in a
videos.
day and age where this is what $100 looks like. Some cheese, some bacon, some beef, onions, carrots, eggs, butter, milk, and bread. $100.
Yep. $100.
That's insane.
$100 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different products. $100. Wait, I think I miscounted something. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9. 9 different products. Okay, I did miscount. $100.
Insane.
That's
Canada is.
It's like 10. Well, I mean, I like. Besides the quantities of things, that's an average of $10 per product. That's insane. Probably a little bit more than $10.
Justin
like
Trudeau and Singh
9
and the
something.
separatists from Quebec.
Separatists.
You guys are all fucking idiots. Fuck you. Seriously, all you guys, you liberals and NDPs and Bloc.
Separatists.
Fuck you. Seriously, fuck you.
You tell them,
you
dude.
Fucking assholes. You're destroying this country, you pricks. This is $100. What is wrong with you?
Tell them. Get them.
Fuck you.
Right.
October 19th.
So this is what this is going to lead into. This is why no one wants to live in Canada by 2 and 20. This was 5 months ago. Okay, this is pretty recent. This is why nobody wants to live in Canada anymore. And plus all that stuff. Let's see.
2015, election night in Canada.
Right.
Dissatisfied with the direction of the country, record numbers of Canadians came out to vote. The result? Justin Trudeau is elected Prime Minister of Canada. With a large crowd cheering his name, Trudeau had one simple message.
It's time for a change in this country, my friends. A real change.
Canadians across the country were excited and energized. They believed in a bright future for Canada. The government would build more homes, make life more affordable, and usher Canada into a golden age.
Yep.
The Canadian dream.
That was the plan.
But fast forward to today, and that dream has faded. Housing prices have increased at
It's not faded, it's utterly collapsed. Look at this. Vancouver, $3.88 million for 6-bed, 2-bath. Like 6 beds a lot, but 2-bath? 1,900 square feet? Middle of Vancouver. Oh my god, man.
Rates. Food banks are turning away hungry Canadians, and immigrants are leaving in record numbers. The Canadian dream has become a nightmare.
Quickly, I don't know if he's going to get into it at any point, but further with those food banks, they're seeing record number of Canadians this year. Not only that, they have seen record numbers for the past few years increase year over year over year. So more and more and more and more people keep coming in. This isn't like, oh, we have 1 million this year and 1 million this year, but the same million, it's not the same million. This is, we have 1 million this year, then we get another million, so that's 2 million, and then we get another million, so that's 3 million. Like, so many people are going to these food banks, it's not even funny.
Nightmare. This is the dark side of Canada.
Yeah.
If you talk to real Canadians, more often than not, they will tell you how hopeless they feel about their future. They'll share how when growing up, they dreamed of a life raising a family in a comfortable home and in a safe neighborhood.
Yeah.
But with home prices soaring, this dream has become a fantasy. To buy the average home in Canada, a family needs to earn $170,000 per year. And in Vancouver, that number jumps dramatically to $360,000 per year. Compare this to the median.
What? Holy shit, $360,000 to live in Vancouver. What the fuck? and $170,000 on average for the rest of Canada. What's the median?
Median family income of $70,000.
Guys, I think I found the problem. I see the problem. I don't know if anybody else can see the problem, but I see the problem.
And it becomes clear that it is nearly impossible to buy a home in Canada. Most Canadians who don't own a home have given up and don't see it as remotely possible in their lifetime. The sad part about this, Canada's housing wasn't always this expensive. In fact, home ownership was possible for almost everyone. But in the last few decades, housing prices have increased so much faster than wages.
Over the past 10 years, so obviously I haven't been in the position that long, but my mom, okay, and she's talked to me lots about this over the years, and basically like my whole life I've known a little bit here and there. I've been a little bit smarter than most kids who just do random shit. So I've always kind of known a little bit and always talked to her about certain things. In the past 10 years, she has significantly bled money from all kinds of costs. I mean, the amount of kids, she has 4 kids, including me. So, you know, there's all kinds of costs. In the past 10 years, she's literally lost the ability to have a mortgage. She's unable, banks will not give her a mortgage, nothing, because she does not have the finances. It's ridiculous. That's 10 years. Not
that
even.
it has forced citizens.
Really, it's been like maybe 5 or 6. Maybe like 7 at the most. Maybe it's been like 7 years since she's been able to get a mortgage.
To abandon the hope of home ownership.
It's bad.
Even if you can afford a home, you aren't getting very much. Take Vancouver, for example. The average home here is nearly $2 million, and it looks like this.
What?
Who wants to spend nearly $2 million on a small home like this when you can get a mansion in places like Austin for the same amount?
Yeah.
Now, not everyone wants to buy a home.
Brothers?
And
I have one brother, that's a full brother. I have 2 sisters. And then I have 2 other brothers, but they're half brothers. But yes, I do have one full brother. Yes.
many are perfectly fine renting. But renting is just as hard as buying a home. Due to years of underbuilding, NIMBYism, population growth, and government red tape, the supply of rental units is far outweighed by demand. Across Canada, rental vacancy sits at an all-time low of 1.5%.
Did he say NIMBYism? Hold on, I need to just... NIMBYism. Yep, okay, what is NIMBYism? Meaning of NIMBYism in English: the behavior of someone who does not want something to be built or done near where they live, although it does need to be built or done somewhere. Residents were accused of NIMBYism when they tried to stop the new superstore development. Okay, so it's just saying, fuck you, like, you can build it, but not in my home. Like, not in my area, I guess. Okay, sure.
This means people are fighting to find a place to live. Each application for an apartment is met with hundreds of competing applications, and renters are left feeling hopeless.
It's getting to the point where you can choose to keep a roof over your head, or you can choose to keep the lights on and eat, but you can't do both.
The low levels of vacancy are leading to skyrocketing prices. Landlords realize that renters have few options, and therefore they continue to raise rents to extract maximum value.
Our landlord increased our rent by $7,000 per month.
The outcome? Rents can
our rent by $7,000 per month.
$7,000 per month? Oh my god. That is absolutely mind-blowing. $7,000 per month. Yo, I wonder what they were paying before. Like 2? Were they paying like $2? What?
The outcome? Rents continue to rise uncontrollably and will do so for years to come. For example, the average one-bedroom apartment in Toronto and Vancouver is nearly $3,000. After taxes and rent, Canadians barely have enough money to make ends meet.
Yeah,
People are
it's
skipping
really
meals,
bad.
taking up multiple jobs, living in their cars, and more. Debt has become an absolute necessity to make ends meet, and Canada now has
Yeah.
the third highest household debt to GDP ratio on
Damn,
Earth.
third?
All of this is compounded by the inability of the government to help. In fact,
Damn.
many would argue that the government is making life much harder for
I
Canadians.
wonder what the change is, like, if we were, say, 15, number 15, 10 years ago, if we went up to number 3, like, I wonder what that number is. Not only that, I wonder what the top 3 are currently. Like, I wonder what 2 are above us. I assume
The
America's gotta
problem
be
with
above
housing
us.
affordability is a combination of federal and local government policies and inaction. On a federal level, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has overseen the largest increase in Canadian real estate prices in history.
Yeah.
Much of this is due to his immigration policy. Since 2016, the government
Where he literally immigrates people here and pays for their whole entire life.
has
By the way.
admitted nearly 3 million immigrants into the country. That is a record and 40% higher per year in the last few decades. To make matters worse, there
Is that an actual... This is not okay. For any chart, any graph, anything whatsoever, this is not a good thing. This is very, very rarely a good thing. Because a giant move like this means a giant move like that. It's an equal and opposite reaction. It's true with 99% of things in life. Like, this is not a good thing. That means all the people are going to be leaving. And I guarantee you, all the people are going to be leaving are the people you want to stay.
and 40% higher per
That's so
year in the
bad.
last few decades. To make matters worse, there are over 1 million foreign students in the country. By increasing the population so significantly in such a short period of time, the government has squeezed an already underbuilt housing market. It is simple economics. Increasing demand without increasing supply causes prices to go up. Furthermore, most immigrants are looking for entry-level homes and apartments, placing
text me
a
asking for my
disproportionate
YouTube name.
amount of pressure on average and young Canadians who are looking for a starter property. For example, many students at UBC can no longer find housing and now live in
The
vans and
students?
parking lots to survive.
I had
Wow.
to wait, I guess, like more than a year to get a housing on campus in UBC.
One student even flies from a different city because it's cheaper than rent.
I've
Room-
heard a lot of stories about stuff like this. Like, somebody will fly, I think it's like a couple thousand miles from where he stays to San Francisco. It's like somewhere in the States they do it. Because it's cheaper than having a house there, because he lives with his parents in the other place, and then he just flies to school, and then he just flies back after school. And yeah, I've heard somebody doing a similar thing here.
Rooming houses are
It's
also
insane.
commonplace
It's
across the country,
ridiculous, actually.
where landlords
I don't know.
squeeze 5 students into
I don't
one
get it.
bedroom to maximize profits.
5?
Immigration isn't the only reason for
That's worse than jails. I literally know somebody who just got out of jail, and he said there was 3 people in a small room. 5? Like, I know it's not jail, but might as well be. Holy
rising prices,
shit.
though. And it's easy for folks to point the finger, but Canada has underinvested in housing for decades. In fact, CIBC estimates
guy?
that Canada needs 5 million more homes by
I forget his
2030
name.
to achieve affordability targets. Developers agree this
5
is
million?
impossible. Of course, you can't flick the switch overnight to build homes, and in
No.
Canada, local governments have shown an unwillingness to
But you
invest
have
in
to
housing.
start. You have to try to do it. You can't just be like, yeah, we're gonna build them. Yeah, we'll give you land, and then wait 9 years to do it. That's not how it works.
For one, citizens who own homes are often against development, as it would lower the value of their properties.
So,
Permit approvals are hard to get, and NIMBYism challenges most large developments.
no town.
Elected
no
officials
town,
know
oh
this,
my God.
and therefore don't push hard for housing to avoid losing an election. Furthermore, each city and province levies a multitude of taxes that
I
drive
didn't
the
know
cost.
that was such a problem with it, though. Because, for me, Being a Canadian, I want more houses to be built because I want them to be cheaper. But the people who already own houses and who have mortgages on houses don't want that because they don't want their mortgages to be cheaper. They want their houses to be worth more. They don't want their mortgage and their house price going down. They want it all going up so they can send it off to somebody else. Or, you know, just, you know, the house has more value, right? Because they bought it for $80,000 and they still want to sell it for $800,000 when they can. So, I didn't really, I guess, recognize that that was such a big problem with it as well. Damn.
Cost and timeline for development. In some cities, this can add over 20% to the cost of a home, and this cost is directly
20%?
passed on to consumers by developers. A part of the reason
Yeah.
taxes and
They're
red
not going to
tape
pay for it.
continue.
Why would they want to pay for it? They're going to make you pay for it. They'll be like, yeah, you could do it. Might as well. You're going to pay more for the house. You need the house. So we're going to charge the extra 20% on materials and this and that we needed to spend, and we're just going to make you pay for it when you buy the house.
Continue to
You need it,
increase
don't you?
is the government is growing faster than the population. From 2020 to 2023, the BC government grew by 23%. Compare this to the private sector, which grew by only
Really?
1%. This explosive job growth
Wow.
requires more taxes. A similar pattern can be seen in the federal government, which has added nearly $20 billion a year in costs since 2015. And the final nail in the
Damn.
coffin for housing affordability? Foreign investment. Canada is an extremely attractive and safe place to invest your money, but it also happens to be one of the easiest places in the OECD to launder money.
Another bombshell in the ongoing money laundering scandal in BC.
A report
Uh-oh.
commissioned by the government agreed and concluded that significant amounts of black market money
Boys,
was
they
buying
caught
and
us.
selling
Get out.
properties in Canada,
They caught us.
especially Vancouver and Toronto. But what has the government done to stop this? Nothing. Money laundering is just as easy as ever. Now, housing is just
Really?
one component of this nightmare. What about everyday costs Canadians face? Canada saw food prices rise by over 10% since 2022, leading nearly 2
That's 2 years. 10% in 2 years, a 5% increase year over year. That's disgusting.
million Canadians to visit food banks in March of 2023, a
Yeah.
record high
Yep.
and double the 2019 levels. One of the reasons Canadian
Double.
food prices are so high is the lack of competition.
But grocery chain profits are not the reason for food inflation.
A handful of companies own
Right.
nearly 80% market share.
I
The
bet.
government has historically done nothing to prevent food industry consolidation, which has led to a highly concentrated market that is able to extract maximum profits. The worst example of this is bread, which is dominated by only 2 players.
Right.
Not only this, but the government has assisted in increasing food prices in Canada by
Dumping milk
protecting the
and quota.
poultry, egg, and dairy industries. This alone costs the average Canadian family nearly $450 per year. That could be the difference between making
Okay.
rent or not.
The federal
Yeah,
plan
it
puts
really
a
can be in
price
some
on pollution
situations.
that brings down emissions, and it spurs innovation and the kind of investments in emissions reduction that we need, while at the same time putting more money in the pockets of Canadians.
This story of government policies leading to higher prices is nothing new. For example, the government introduced a carbon tax which makes the cost of gas and heating more expensive than
Yep.
ever. Canadians spend more on gas than
There's been about 6 of them so far. I'm pretty sure there's been 6 tax price or tax cuts, whatever, tax increases, whatever you want to call them, in Canada since Trudeau's got into office and got into Parliament. That's sad. That's disgusting. 6, and he wanted to put in another one, so that would have been 7.
any other G7 country by a long shot. The carbon tax has been met with significant pushback from citizens and politicians. In fact,
Jesus,
Liberal
4.4%?
MPs have spoken out against the carbon tax as the number of complaints from constituents has risen dramatically. This came to a head in the Atlantic provinces when citizens could no longer bear the cost of the carbon tax given the use of expensive and very dirty fuel oil. The
Yeah.
Liberal government conceded and dropped the tax in an effort to not lose support. Recently, the government has pushed the narrative that most citizens are better off in spite of carbon taxes due to rebates, However, the parliamentary budget officer clarified and said that citizens are worse off if you include the economic implications. But this isn't just limited to carbon taxes. Canadians experience higher prices across multiple industries because
I don't know. I don't think he's gonna go to the rebates. So if he doesn't go to the rebates, I want to get this off really quick. You lose money. So the government takes a certain percentage of money from you in taxes over the year. They tracked this. On average, for Ontario, which is the province that I live in Canada, on average, we pay, we pay an average of $1,600 in governmental taxes, roughly. And on average, we get about $1,200 back. We're losing money. What do you mean we're better off? You're literally stealing money from us just to pay for your own shit. Oh yeah, and by the way, Trudeau embezzled $330 million from the government, which he's being investigated for right now.
Because of the government. The most glaring example is telecommunications.
Hey, here's a quick question. Are we paying too much for cell phone and internet bills here in Canada? Absolutely.
The Canadian wireless market is the most expensive in the world, 7 times more expensive than Australia and 1,000 times more expensive than Finland. The craziest part is that the 4th largest player, Shaw, was recently acquired by the largest player in the country, Rogers, and the government did nothing to stop it. In most countries, such a deal would most likely be stopped or delayed. But
yeah, because of monopoly laws. What?
in Canada, major corporations have extreme influence and often get away with these anti-competitive transactions. Banking is similar. There is no competition nor options for consumers. To start up a bank is nearly impossible in Canada due to tight regulatory controls that favor large entities. This has led to Canadians paying some of the highest banking fees in the developed world. It is estimated that Canadians pay $250 more per year on banking fees than peers in the UK and Australia. Why?
I have to pay $16.95, or I think it's 65 cents, one of the two, a month, just to have a bank account. That's not including anything else. Just to have the bank account, I need to pay just about $17 a month. Are you fucking me right now? Like, I get their service fees and this and that and the other thing. I'm with TD, by the way, which is one of the, if you don't know, the biggest banks in all of Canada. You just saw all of that footage was from TD. So literally one of the biggest banks in all of Canada. You still need me to pay $16 so you can keep my account open? Crazy, bro. Crazy.
No competition. Now, I could list a million more examples, but the conclusion is the same. Canada is extremely expensive. One way to counter this is to grow the economy and introduce high-paying jobs. However, Canada has struggled to do this. Since 2019, Canada has seen a decline in economic productivity, while the US has seen a 6% increase. This decline is partly responsible for stagnant wages in Canada and reduction in the quality of life. One of the drivers for this decline is lack of private sector investment. Canadian businesses are investing outside of Canada more than ever before. But why aren't companies investing in Canada? Simply put, they believe they can generate greater returns elsewhere, especially as they lose faith in the current Canadian regime, which is not seen as business friendly. Another reason is lack of competition. Most major Canadian industries are controlled by a few key players. These players have no real incentive to invest, leading to reductions in productivity. The US has low levels of market concentration across industries, leading to constant reinvestment and innovation as companies continue to seek a competitive edge. Another reason is government intervention. For example, Canada has seen a major decline in investment in the energy sector due to federal prices that penalize the industry. Since 2014, energy investment has declined by nearly $60 billion per year. But one could argue that oil and gas is the past and Canada should focus on future-proofing its economy, which is absolutely fair.
That's pretty
However,
crazy.
since 2016, GDP derived from technology companies has only grown with inflation, meaning it hasn't really grown at all. All efforts by the government to incentivize industrial investment have failed. But this is not simply limited to large businesses and money outflow. Canada is seeing an exodus of startups and top talent like never before. Each year, 7% of Canadians go south of the border searching for opportunity. And why wouldn't they? Jobs pay more, cost of living is lower, and the US is much more dynamic. The loser in this scenario is not the government, but hard-working Canadians whose lives continue to become more difficult. As productivity continues to decline, the central bank will have less leeway to maintain lower interest rates, further challenging cost of living. Overall, the outlook does not look great. Let's hope that something changes soon. Subscribe to 2 and 20 for more business and economics insight.
Let's say I want to go through this wall. I break through the wall.
Sorry, I was just texting my mom at the end there. But yeah, that's what it is, man. And that's why a lot of people, they don't want to be in here. They don't want to be in Canada. They don't want to leave. They want to go to like a very far off place in Canada that's very low key, very cheap. You know, like Saskatchewan's cheap. You can find a couple $1,000 house. I mean, maybe now they're a little bit more, but you know, a few years ago especially, you could find $6,000 houses in Saskatchewan. I mean, it'd be a little tiny shack, you know, and you'd have to build the walls back. You know, there would be holes in the wall. You'd have like a bee's nest in there. So I don't know. It would be crazy shit, right? But you could find super cheap houses. But nobody wants to live in Saskatchewan unless you want to look at corn all day and wheat. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of unfortunate because Canada's a really beautiful place. It's a really great place to live if it's being controlled well enough, right? I guess that's the best place, or the best way I could put it, is if we have good people in charge, we have a good head on the shoulders of our government, we have people in charge who care about the economy and who care about Canada, then we do good, and we do really good. However, with shit like this, it's not the same. It just doesn't happen. Like, you know, nobody wants to live in Canada. Nobody wants to come to Canada. We don't grow. It doesn't happen. Excuse me. This is what happens when we have incompetent leaders and people who just siphon money. That's what that means.